What is up? And we are back. Tonight I will be your host, #Team Austin. Today we will be talking about probably one of the coolest gadgets to hit the set of the Digital Power Trip Studios, and that is the MaxDroid by MaxPie. MaxDroid was nice enough to send us out one of these bad boys so we could review it and then we could give it away to one of you guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. I want that down in the comments. So I want to do a few different things in this video to make sure we touch everything that I feel like needs to be talked about. The first thing I want to do is talk about what this thing's capable of. So what kind of games it can play and what it can do. I'm going to start out with something, you know, kind of slow, maybe the NES, maybe even something older, and kind of see what this thing can do on a less graphically demanding game. And then after that, I'm going to gradually build, play some stuff in between, and then I'm going to push this thing to its limit and really see what it can do once we get the horses turned up on it. So now let's talk about specs. This thing has a ARM-based CPU. It's a Cortex A17. It's 1.8 gigahertz. It also has a built-in GPU, which is the ARM Mali T764 3D graphics acceleration. The next thing it has is a piece of software called Game Center, and that's just something they package on it. It also has a pretty neat controller. Let's see if I can pull this thing out real quick so you guys can look at it. If you notice, it has 2 analog sticks. It has all of our regular buttons, a D-pad, volume up, volume down, power. So pretty much the standard stuff. But this thing does run Android, so you can play Android games on it. And kind of to complement those Android games, this thing has a accelerometer in it. So that's kind of neat. The screen is a 5-inch capacitive touchscreen, which comes in nice and handy if you do want to play an Android game on it. It also has a built-in pretty big battery. If I'm not mistaken, it is 6,000 milliamps. So that's pretty good. It's got 2 gigs of DDR3 RAM. You can add I think the one we have has a 128 gigabyte SD card that came with it. So you can go at least that big. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for specs. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into some gameplay now. Like I said, I think I'm gonna start with the NES and then I'm gonna work my way up and kind of see where it takes us. So we'll see you guys after the cut. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off by showing you some of the basic functionality of the system. First thing we have is MaxDroid. That brings up all of our systems. We can go within a system and pick a game to play. So we're gonna go back now and go, I'll click Kodi. It's a media center application. It's something that you can use to watch your videos, music, that sort of stuff. It's pretty neat. I've used it in other applications before. So on my computer, I actually made a Kodi set-top box one time. By the way, if you guys are interested in us doing something like that, let me know in the comments. But, so we're gonna get out of that now. That's kind of, you know, a brief touch on that. The next thing is settings. I won't go into the settings because it looks exactly like any other Android settings menu you've ever seen before, so it's nothing new. All apps, this would be like clicking the app tray on your Android device. You can go through and select an app or download something from the Play Store. So let's go back again, and we're gonna go into MaxDroid, and we're gonna pick our first game, which is going to be from the NES, like I said earlier, and let's pick a game that starts with an L, and it'll be Little Samson. So this game was made by a developer called Taito towards the end of the NES life cycle, and there weren't really a whole lot of copies of this made, and it's actually one of the rarest games that you can find in cartridge form. Not so much on a ROM because it's just a digital copy, but on cartridge form, if you come across this, buy it immediately because it is one of the rarest games out there. So let's take a look and see how this runs. Has a password system in it, so you don't have to start over every time. You can enter your password and get back to a certain point in the game, which that's cool. We're gonna play it on easy, and pretty much just as expected, it runs, you know, just as well as you would expect. It's an NES game. It's 8-bit. It's, you know, nothing special at all. But this game is kind of like a action platformer, I guess is what you would call it, because you are shooting, jumping, trying to kill stuff, not get killed. It's a pretty good game. The mechanics of it are really interesting. I haven't played it in a long time, so you have to excuse how bad I am at it. But runs well. So let's go ahead and jump into the next game. Let's jump up to, let's say SNES. So we pick SNES, and let's play one of the most recognizable games that ever came to Nintendo, and that will be Mega Man. And my favorite Mega Man entry, let's see if they have it, is Mega Man X, which I don't see. So let's go ahead and select Mega Man 2. One thing that I've noticed while playing this, and you guys see, it is an Android device. So when you have an Android device, it keeps things running in the background. We all know that. So it actually has a button here to pull up your recently used apps, and the best thing to do to make sure it runs well is just clear out the most recent game you played. So let's go ahead and go back to our front end here, and let's see if we can find Mega Man like I was playing before. We'll pick Mega Man 2 just because it was there. So now this is SNES. We're jumping up to 16-bit, and I've never had any trouble running an NES or SNES game on anything. So I doubt this thing's going to have any issues with this, but we'll give it a whirl, see what happens. Also has a password system. We're going to play as Bubble Man. So, this waterfall level in full color on my big display makes me want to go into an epileptic seizure. So be forewarned that this is really crazy, but that has nothing to do with the system. So, ooh, oh, got him. But plays well, just as to be expected. It's a pretty easily ran game. So, for the sake of time, let's go back and let's pick something the next step up. Alright, so let's do something from Sega. Let's see what Sega systems we have here. Got the Master System, which that's older. We have Mega Drive, but that... So we will try the 32X. And let's pick this Knuckles game. Never played it, so we'll see how it runs. Never played this game before or ever heard of it, so this is a new experience for all of us. Looks pretty much like your basic Sonic game. But as you can see, runs well. I'm not noticing any drop frames or anything like that. So for the sake of time again, and for the sake of me not looking like an idiot who doesn't know what he's doing, we're going to go to the next game. I'm going to go ahead and clear again just to make sure everything runs well. So let's jump on up now. We've went 8, 16, 32, so might as well go 64 to the Nintendo 64. Let's see, what is a good Nintendo 64 game I can try out? I would do Banjo-Kazooie, but there's so much talking at the beginning of that game, it would take us forever to get to gameplay. So let's pick, oh, Duke Nukem. I love Duke Nukem. If this works, I will be extremely impressed. So, being up front, I used to sneak and play this game on my dad's computer all the time, even though I wasn't supposed to, because it was awesome. And he talks in a deep voice, and you shoot people, and he was super cool. So, I have nostalgic ties to this game for sure. Wow. So, trying to figure out the controls here, because you gotta realize this thing is set up for and it runs well. It might take me a minute to get used to the controls, but it does run and it looks pretty good. I'm actually really impressed with how good that it looks. Oh, found my gun. All right. So, there he is. All right. This is sick. The controls are taking a little bit of getting used to, but that's just something that if you have played anything emulated before, you should kind of know going into it is the controls are not going to be perfect. It's just part of the fun of being able to play something on a machine it wasn't built for. But like I said, once you get used to it, as you can see, I'm kind of getting the hang of it. So, but that runs awesome. So I'm very, very impressed. So let's go ahead and jump to the next game. And this will be where this thing is forged, on the battlefield of hardness. And that is with the Dreamcast. That seems to be the killer on all fronts when you're talking about emulation, is will it run Dreamcast? Which now they're kind of getting into even some further gen consoles like GameCube and original Xbox. But as far as my experience goes, it seems to be Dreamcast is the killer. So let's pick a game. Crazy Taxi jumps out to me because that seems to be a very iconic game from the Dreamcast. Ooh. The loading animation's cool. Also, me and Chris just bought a Dreamcast, so look out for some Dreamcast videos to come. And I was just informed by my sources that we bought Crazy Taxi. So you'll get to see this thing on what it was actually meant to be played on. But let's see how it runs on here for now. That dude's voice is awesome. Sounds like he smoked like 600 cigarettes from like the inside of dirty bong water or something, but he's still really cool. Let's play by arcade rules. It kind of sounds like if Guy Fieri got kicked in the balls. Let's take the taxi to Kicked in the Balls Town instead of Flavor Town, because I'm Guy Fieri. Oh. So, I notice a little bit of frame drop, but that may also be, I'm using HDMI out, so you'll have to, once again, I'm trying to figure out what the break is. Oh, man. So, once again, you'll have to excuse my terrible driving skills, but it runs well. So I've only got 15 seconds left, so let's run through some people here and kind of see if we can, how it runs as we get into a more populated area. And I am noticing a few drop frames, but it's like really super playable. If I had some time to really get into messing with the controls, I would definitely say it'd be as playable as you could get. But now that we've kind of touched all the consoles it will run, I'm going to kind of talk about my highlights and lowlights with it. Highlights. Take this thing anywhere. It's literally the size of a Nintendo DS, almost the same form factor. You could definitely pocket it. Take whatever game you can think of from old consoles in your pocket, wherever you want to go. Awesome. Definitely a highlight. Another highlight, the controls. It gives you 2 analog sticks, all the buttons you could ask for, a touch screen, and the screen looks really good too. Another highlight. But that's definitely a highlight. My only low light that I can think of is not even this thing's fault. It's just the inherent issue with emulation is it takes a while to get readjusted to the controls because it's not on the controller that it was originally built for. And that's not really all that big of a downside. It just has to be, like a lot of these games I played when I was a kid, so I have muscle memory going back to these controls. And it's not exactly the same as it was whenever I was a kid, so it takes a little bit getting used to. But that's not totally bad, but it is a little bit of a downside. So if you want something you can take in your pocket somewhere with you, play virtually any game you can think of from Dreamcast back, and have it in your pocket, if you're patient, this is for you. Definitely for you. It's an awesome thing, and we really, really appreciate MaxDroid for sending it out to give away to one of our fans and for us to review. So we appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time.